Welcome, my love light lifers. Nattie here, your vibrational coach. Today we're talking about decoding numbers. Do you have a favorite number? What that number is, and if you feel like divulging, tell me why it's your favorite number. I'd like to say welcome to my returning subscribers. Welcome back, welcome home. How you doing? How you been? Pull up a chair, let's chill. If you're just joining us for the first time, hey, how'd it going? For today, we're going to be talking about numbers. Now, I've done an entire series on numbers already. We did quadruple digits. Why? Because I find them exciting. When I see 4 of the same number in a row, I know that there is something like the energies, just the fact that I'm drawn to it, that I notice it, that I'm resonating with something about that number. And I love the idea that I can then go and decode that. It makes my life just so magical and fun. No, it's crazy, I know. But the thing is, when things start to make sense and you start to see that this kind of thing actually can help you with manifesting, or at least knowing yourself better, or at least having a little fun with your life. You can have some fun with this, and you can actually use it to help you along your sort of life journey, your spiritual journey, and of course, help you with manifesting. But what I'm going to talk about today isn't specifically what those numbers mean, as to how it is that we might be going along, dipping along every day, and we might start to notice these numbers and why that might help us to know where we are in the manifestational journey. Because I touched on this a lot in my numbers series, because of the fact I'm not a numerologist. I don't have all of the meanings of all of the numbers sort of etched into my brain. I do have some of the meanings in there, kind of. However, it's not like dreams, where dreams, I just started doing it. I just knew what they meant. Numbers was different. But numbers, we have to remember, let's bring it back. Numbers don't mean anything. They are squiggles on a piece of paper. They don't even have to be on a piece of paper. What I'm talking about is the squiggles. The only reason that we believe that they have a meaning is because we gave them. So the reason why they make really good signs and symbols, in other words, there's a really good reason why people use numerology to learn about themselves and about their vibration, is because these particular numbers are some of the few things in this world that we as an entire human race actually think about and classify and identify with and define in the same way. In other words, there are different words for the number 1 in different languages. But when we think about the number 1, no matter what we call it, no matter what symbol we use to describe it, we think the same thing about it, because it's describing a quantity. And how we feel about that quantity is pretty similar across the board. For example, 1 is a pretty low number. It's something that jumps to mind. 2 is a lovely couple. 3 is a crowd. See, now that may be just my culture, or it may be several cultures, but the idea is that we start to think of these numbers in such a similar way that an entire globe of people looking at that number, defining that number, using that symbol, the same way for the same reasons to mean the same things for so many, possibly millennia. We're talking about some very strong momentum of thought. And what that means is that when we align with particular numbers, we are aligning with that frequency and that particular train of thought. Now, those particular train of thought will, let's bring it back to emotion, will feel a certain way. So when I say 1 is a lonely number, usually if you're lonely, you'll be like, yeah, you'll start feeling lonely. However, you may be feeling empowered by 1, the number 1. You may be thinking about the new beginnings. You might be thinking about becoming first, coming first, winning, number 1, top notch. There's a lot of ways that we can interpret it, but guess what? We don't have to know which way it is, because we will be feeling that way when we see it. And when we see it and it triggers that, oh, 1, so lonely, or that win, yes, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna win. Whichever feeling it is that's triggered, that's how you know where your momentum of thought is, because your thought is going to go straight to the most practiced route. And because we've got an entire globe, entire planet of people thinking about it in the same way, we can then write these down and blanket it for almost everyone on the planet. Interesting stuff. Now I can have a fair idea of why you might be resonating with the number 1, or why I might be resonating with the number 3, or why anyone who is watching my video on 7777 might be seeing so many 7s. What it is these synchronicities, these signs and symbols, we get into synchronicities soon, but all these signs and symbols are things that are a vibrational match to us. And when we start matching them at a very general level, like numbers, we're dealing with slow moving momentum. General thoughts, slow moving. Specific thoughts, not so slow. We're talking fast. So if we're thinking, oh, I hate being in debt, then I would hate to be in debt. That's pretty slow moving. I'm in debt, yeah, that sucks. However, if you can start listing off all of your debts, how much they are, who you owe it to, even the names of the people you deal with at the debtors agencies that you owe the money to, that's pretty specific. You have a very fast momentum going in the direction of debt. So what we're talking about here is, what if you knew you were going in that direction before you manifested the debt, and you could turn it around? This is why these signs and symbols at a very general level that people want to call synchronicities and omens and symbology and numerology and all that sort of stuff, this is why it helps. Because if you can see how you're manifesting on a general level, then you're going to see what's going to happen in a specific way. So things will just get more and more specific. You know, things don't stop being the way that they are unless you change them. In other words, if your relationship with someone is bad, guess what? It's only going to get worse unless you change it. People assume that it's going to stay the same. Nothing ever stays the same. And the thing is, if it's bad, it's going to get worse. You can kind of tell which direction it's going in. So we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. I'll see you then.